listening to the Rude Horror Podcast with your host, Marcus Rude.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rude Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Rude, and today we have a very special guest on this Christmas episode. And he's worked on TV shows such as Devious Maids, Swamp Murders, To Catch a Killer, and ATL Homicide. He's also been in movies such as One Night of Fear, Rockabilly Zombie Weekend, Dark Roads 79, The Fury, and his latest short horror film, The Box. He's also working on a movie filled with a bunch of scream queens called Killer Babes and the Frightening Film Fiasco. Please welcome Mr. Jimmy Dempster.
Yeah, damn, man, that's a hell of a build-up.
All right.
Good to hear from you.
You're our first guest on here, so I had to talk you up a little bit.
That's pretty cool, man. The inaugural guest for the Rude Horror Show. That's pretty rad, man.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to have you on here and talk
Me too.
about.
Like I said, anybody who's got the picture of Dr. Frost from Class of '99 as their profile picture on social media is a friend of mine, man.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut. A lot of people know about that flick. You know? Not enough people.
It's one of those movies that a lot of people just don't really talk about, but man, it's a classic, I think.
Yeah, I think if you were coming up, come out in the 89? I think it was. So I'm about 10, 11 years old at the time. So anybody who was a kid of the 80s, I think that's definitely who had the HBO late night.
Right.
HBO used to do those. Oh man, they used to have this thing. I think every Friday and Saturday night they used to have this block that they would do these like straight to. Nowadays they'd be considered straight to Netflix or something like that, or like Amazon Prime. But they had these exclusives, and that was one of the staples. Man, the first time I saw that, I was like, yeah, Blackheart for life.
Right.
Oh man, I to this day I love that movie. I've run into Bradley Gregg. I've run into him at conventions and stuff like that. Talk about it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's good
That's
stuff.
awesome, man. Yeah, and it's one of those movies. It's not like it's kind of got like Escape from New York vibes to it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's funny seeing that that movie, it was based in like Seattle, Washington, rather than like LA or New York, or it's just kind of a random spot.
Yeah, I mean, kind of basically. So, like you said, it wouldn't be a little too on the nose. Like it's kind of like it takes like 1984, like the gang high school vibe, and throws in a little bit of that Escape from New York, LA type vibe. But yeah, it was just when I first saw that, man, I was like, man, this is crazy. The two gangs, and then at the end when they have to team up and they got to go into the school, and
Right.
fight the robot. I was like, dude, this is the greatest friggin' movie I've ever seen. I love movies like that. I've always loved movies like that. And all it's done is I've gotten older. Those are the kind of movies I want to work on now.
Oh, for sure. I would love to see more movies kind of are more like that. Just like the some like the gritty sci-fi actionness to it, and you don't really see a lot of movies like those anymore.
Nah, and you got to look. They're out there.
Yeah.
But they're not as well known. They're not as more as mainstream as I think they should be. But then again, I think that's part of their charm too. If they go against the grain a little bit, that's what I like about them. They're not too glamorized and stylized.
Mm-hmm.
They won't anytime soon. I hope. They remake that movie, man. I don't know.
That'd be awesome, actually. But I mean, they'd have to do it right. Like maybe not as much CGI. I would love to see more practical effects back. Yeah,
me too. I'm a huge practical effects guy. It's just growing up in the 80s, 90s. I mean, that's it. That's what we had. And it still stands. I think it still holds up today.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was kind of watching a little bit of it the other day. Just because we were talking about it a little bit over social media, and I was like, yeah, I need to visit that one again because it is such a good movie.
Yeah, they put that DVD out. I think Lionsgate put it out a couple years back. I picked that up, and I was like, yeah, finally, because for the longest time that wasn't available anywhere. I had the old VHS tape, I had the old Vestron video, cassette tape that I had, VHS tape that I've had forever, and that was getting worn out. And it was like that and The Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman. That was another one that was possible to get on like Blu-ray or DVD. So they finally released, I think they finally released Class of '99. They did a good DVD on that a few years ago. I grabbed that, and then I think The Perfect Weapon, I think, is still only available like on an overseas, like Region 1 or whatever, code-free Blu-ray. I'm like, damn, man.
I'm sure like someone will pick it up one of these days, like Vinegar Syndrome or Shout Factory.
That's what I'm hoping for. Olive, anybody, Red Shirt, and it's somebody like that. Yeah, Shout Factory. They're good for stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get a documentary on there too, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love when they start packing in a lot of the special features, you know, featuring maybe the director or actors that haven't really done anything in a long time. And then, you know, them coming back and putting more content in on that stuff is really cool to watch.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, so what are some of the horror movies that you've seen lately? Is there any that stick out to you that you really like?
I've seen, we saw this movie recently called Audition. Not Audition. Was it Audition?
Takashi Mike?
No, not Audition. Not that one.
Oh.
Perfection. I think it was called The Perfection. I got confused because the girl's playing she's playing the instrument on the front cover of when you go through the Netflix queue, you see it on there. I was like, what's this all about? And it was one of those movies that was sold as like a body horror, kind of almost Cronenberg kind of thing. But when you watch it, it goes a completely other way. It turns into like a deep psychological crazy. It just gets crazier as it goes on. And it's one of those occasions where you watch a movie that you were watching a movie because it was sold to you one way, and then by the end of it, it goes a completely other direction, but it just works. You know, you don't walk out of there going, oh man, this is not what I expected. That movie sucked. You know, a lot of times this happens, but this went a whole other way, and it was a really good, well-crafted, acted horror film, psychological horror film. It's got some good stuff in there too. It's got some blood, got the red stuff.
Awesome, man.
It was really good. I definitely recommend that one.
Oh,
yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, it come out earlier. I think it come out earlier this year, but that's the one that I remember most recently seeing that I really, really, really dug.
Awesome, man.
That's about it. I haven't been to see much of anything else, like to the theaters. There hasn't really been anything like you know what I mean? Like they threw that Black Christmas out like last week or whatever it was, and I stayed far away from that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want nothing to do with this. You know, the marketing telling me no, it's not for me. Like, I'm good. And you know, I apparently did really bad too. So everybody else probably saw that and they said, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I heard some really mixed reviews about it, and haven't had a chance to see it. I'll probably see it when it comes on video or something, you know, straight to video maybe. But I prefer the original over any of them.
Yeah, the original is good. Original doesn't get enough credit, I don't think. I just had this conversation not long ago too, the other day with a buddy of mine, and I put up the post on Instagram. I said it was kind of like a one-on-one thing. It was like, who do you got? You know, 1974 or the 2005, 2006, was it Glenn Morgan remake that I actually really liked. I liked the remake too because it's like splashy and it's got good effects. But everybody was leaning more toward the 1974 version, and I was just like, yeah, I'm with you on that. But I mean, at the time when the remake came out, it was the same thing. It got crapped on. Nobody wanted anything to do with it, and it failed, I guess. But now with this one out now, doing as bad as it was, I have a feeling people are going to start talking about it more often. If anything, it just brings more attention to the original.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the Joe Bob Red Christmas special, and their first episode was Black Christmas. So I was watching a little bit of that last night, and it still holds up pretty good. I enjoyed it. Yeah,
it's the template, man. It like, because it's 4 years before Halloween, so it's one of those films where it started off something. I mean, Halloween, of course, the blockbuster, the one that makes all the money, gets all the notoriety. gets all the credit. But I think people forget, or they don't know. A lot of people aren't even aware of it. They've heard of it, but but it's Halloween that gets all the attention, and I guess rightfully so. But yeah, Black Christmas was one of the first movies that set the template, like the POV, the POV
Right.
shots and the theater of the mind kind of thing. It's not a gory film, kind of like Halloween, very light on gore, but started that kind of template for where the movies would go into the 80s. They would just cut loose a little more with the special effects and
All right.
score and the just the shots and the angles. Like I said, the POV and stuff like that, setting up the killer. Yeah, very good old school horror film.
What's crazy about it is he's the same director as A Christmas Story.
Bob Clark, yeah, right. Was it years later? He did A Christmas Story, and it was like, you can almost tell though, man, because I remember as a kid, like there was some pretty crazy stuff in there. Like when he goes to meet Santa for the first time, and there's that weird trippy scene where he's like, ho, 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 and it's like,
Yeah.
it's a little hairy as a kid seeing that. You're like, ooh, that came out of nowhere. Or when the kid's flipping out because he got a C+ on his test, and he looks over in the corner and he sees his teacher there and his mom, and she's dressed as a witch.
Yeah.
Pretty dark. Yeah, that's
I
a
love
classic.
those movies.
Yep, love that movie. That family's hilarious. All in the Family, like the Christmas version.
Yeah. So, do you have like a favorite horror movie? Like I know I mentioned about the movies you've seen recently, but like, do you have like? I mean, I know it's a hard question to ask, but do you have a favorite horror movie, or does any just kind of pop up to you that you consider a favorite?
Yeah, I mean, my go-to every time when I get asked this question is always The Exorcist. Yeah, the original. And there's a lot of people, oh, it's not a horror film. It's like, yeah, well, I don't know, man. I got 2 daughters, and I know that if I walked into the room and if I saw one of their heads spinning around and puking at me, man, that's a fucking horror movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a horror film all the way. So, yeah, nobody wants to see that, and doing whatever else she was doing in the movie too. So that's a horror film to me. But,
Oh, for sure. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
and that's that's not really disputed, but people mention it sometimes. But that's my go-to because it's like, to me, William Friedkin, his style. You watch that film and it's the perfect setup. You know what I mean? It starts off a certain way. It's very nice. I got those shots of downtown Georgetown. She's walking with her daughter. Her daughter's a perfect little apple-faced girl next door, and then bang, when they pull the rug out from under you, man. And it was marketed perfectly too. Nowadays, they would have gave everything away in the trailer. You've seen the trailer, and you would have seen. But if you remember those old trailers for the original Exorcist, they didn't show anything. They showed like maybe the bed shaking, and then like and then the guy comes to the door. She opens the door, and then it cuts, and that's it. They didn't show anything. Bunch of noise. If you look back at that original trailer for that, they didn't show her freaking out. They didn't show Reagan. They didn't show any of that shit. Now they would have gave all the money shots away, expecting people to file in for the weekend, but opening weekend. But no, that was perfect horror film, and the effects, like you said earlier, practical effects, all Dick Smith stuff still holds up. It's just, and again, the documentary style of Friedkin it just felt so real.
Have you seen his? I think it's been out for a few years, but his documentary on a real life exorcism.
I keep avoiding that, man. I have seen it over the years. It's like supposedly based on a real case.
Yeah, like it's like a documentary. Like he's filming it during this priest giving this lady an exorcism.
Oh wow. Yeah, I remember seeing the ads for it, but I was like, I don't know. I wasn't sure at the time of day. I didn't know how much of it was like stylized and how much was, for effect, because it's a movie. It's got to sell, so.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's got him in there talking about the history of The Exorcist, but then, it dives into he's actually filming, the priest giving an exorcism to a lady. And we didn't watch the whole thing yet, but it was pretty intense from what we saw.
What's it called again?
Yeah, let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, I could find it. I just, it actually slipped off my radar for a while. I was like, nah, I'm not going to. But I'll have to check it out again because I like his work. I like anything he puts out.
Right. Yeah. If you look up William Friedkin, I'm sure it'll pop up. It's something with father in the title.
Yeah.
I
Exorcism or whatever. Like, yeah. Yeah, I might check that out. Actually, I forgot about it. I kind of put it out of my mind.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, or it still should be on Netflix.
Oh, nice.
I'm not trying to use up too much time, but I thought maybe it would just pop up.
Yeah, I'll check it out on IMDb. I'll pull it up. As soon as I see the name, I'll know. I'll remember. I'll be like, oh, yeah, that one. Okay, I'll check it out.
It's called The Devil and Father Amor.
That's right, yeah. I knew they had to put devil or exorcism or somewhere in the title.
Yeah. It's got to have a selling point at some point.
Yep. I'm sure that went through all the name changes, marketing.
So, more maybe about like your career and maybe some of the stuff that you've done. Like, what was it like working on The Box, for instance, your newer one?
Or Box, yeah. That was funny, man, because that actually just I was living in Florida at the time, and the following year, it was, I want to say 2016, we finished that, and that we were getting ready to leave I was getting ready to come from Florida to Georgia. We're going to relocate because I started pursuing this thing, acting full time, right around 2015. So I got my first gig, the Swamp Murders gig. And I had to come down to Georgia. They were shooting here, and I didn't mind making the trip. But a lot of times they don't fly you in. A lot of times you got to get there on your own, depending on the project. And I came down and shot that. I was here for it was about a week. We shot that, and then I came back, and I was like, that was really cool. And we just got tired of traveling back and forth. Not tired of it. I mean, we would have done it, but it just made more sense to me at the time to just say, hey, we're not cemented here. We don't have a house or anything. Why don't we just relocate? And that's what we did. And right before, a couple months, halfway through the year, whatever it was, my buddy Lee, who directed Box and pretty much co-wrote it, said that he was getting ready to move too. He was getting ready to move to Thailand to pursue his film career out there, and he's doing really well now.
Oh, wow.
And my DP, Brant, he was another friend of ours who he was getting ready to move too. He was getting ready to head out to Tennessee, I think, or somewhere. So not too far from me now, but at the time we were all just kind of scattering, going our own separate ways. And we had just finished a film that is actually going to be retitled now because there was a studio involved. And we just wanted to do something without all the trappings of a studio and all the money and too many cooks,
Right.
A lot of hands in the project we just got done finishing. And it's been bouncing around for a couple of years. But we're like, why don't we just do something, the three of us, before we kind of split off and do our own kind of thing? And everybody agreed. We're like, yeah, that sounds cool. Well, what can we do? Well, why don't we come up with something that's combines all of our favorite genres? We'll throw art house, horror, obviously, suspense, like mystery, thriller, and kind of throw it in there in a nice little package. And the idea of a box just came into mind. We're like, yeah, you gotta, like, a lot of movies have a gimmick, like Wish Upon or something like that. But I was like, we could use something like that, but not make it too gimmicky. I didn't want to make it all about this like box, but it's kind of the idea of Pandora's box came to mind, and that whole idea around that. I was like, yeah, we could probably make something out of that. So we got together in a couple of weeks. We come up with an outline, and we just kind of started shooting on weekends, and it just started evolving over time. We like came up with ideas and where it can go, and what kind of shot we were going to do that day. It's like, hey, I got this great idea. How about we do this? And everything just kind of worked. And we shot about a little over an hour's worth of footage. So we had almost like a feature, because anything over about 60 minutes is considered a feature.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, this could work. But as we were starting to take a look at it, Lee was editing it down, and we were looking at some stuff. I'm like, that doesn't really fit. And we don't really need that, So instead of trying to make something a feature film, we cut it down to about 28, 29 minutes, just under 30 minutes, and made a real kick-ass short film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, man.
And then I submitted it to the festivals. It did the festival circuit for about a year and a half, something like that. It was finished in 2018, last year. No, toward the end of 2017. And then that's when I started sending it out. And it still plays conventions and stuff now. It's available now on Kings of Horror Network on their channel on YouTube. It's doing really well. I think it's pushing like 55,000 views now or something like that. So yeah, man, it was a crazy experience, and it gave me a chance to do something different too. Because a lot of the stuff I do is like I play the heavy, or I play like usually a villain. My character is not really a villain in this, you know. He's not really. He's not like a I don't know. He's not like a guy who's gonna, you know, beat up your husband or, you know, rape your wife or kill your kid or any of the, you know, those type of characters that I get cast a lot to play. And I'm not always going to get cast that way, most likely by casting directors. It's not up to them. They see you how they see you. So yeah, it was refreshing to kind of do something different and rely a little more on dramatic ability, I think, than like facial expressions and reactions, as opposed to like there's not a lot of dialogue except for my improv scene at the end with the mirror, where I tried not to go full Jack Torrance.
Yeah.
That's the scene that everybody thought, like in festivals and conventions and stuff like that. They come out, they're like, man, that scene at the end there, you were really going crazy. I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun stuff.
And I always like the element of the unknown, because you never really find out what's in the box. Like you really, I don't know, like it gets teased throughout the whole movie, and then you know, it leaves you with a lot of questions, and I think that's a good thing with movies, to where it's not all blueprinted, laid out for you. It kind of leaves you guessing.
Yeah, we had that heavily in mind when we were doing that too. We're like, man, it's always better to have people walking out asking, as long as they're talking, as long as if they're asking questions, because I'll go to a convention or I'll go to a film festival and there'll be 50, 100, depending on the theater, people in there watching the movies. And afterwards you come out and you mingle in the lobby a little bit. You'd be talking with people. And if you had 50, 100 people in the room watching a movie, you'd come out with, you know, 50, 100 different interpretations of what happened. And people would be like, yeah, so when this happened and the guy did that, so this is what this meant, right? Or was that literal? Almost like the Bible, I guess. It's like, was that literal, or was that like what happened there? Because there's a lot of metaphors in the movie too. A lot of stuff that, you know, is obvious. Some of them are obvious, but some of them are kind of catch people off guard. And as long as they talk, you know, we're happy. It's cool. People come up with idea of what happened, and yeah, we figured people are smart. That's kind of the art house way in a way. You don't want to spell everything out. You know, it's one of those movies you pay attention to little things throughout it. Maybe watch it more than once or twice if you have to. And if you know, you'll be rewarded. You catch up on stuff. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's got a lot of replayability to you know, when you watch it over again, you start picking up on stuff that you didn't pick up the first time, or so forth. So
yeah, we had a blast doing that, man. I'm really really happy with how it came out. And the reaction to it kind of blows my mind, because it's not really a horror film, kind of, in a way, like not exclusively anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. I wouldn't consider it exclusively a horror film, but when Kings of Horror jumped on it and they wanted to pick it up for their site, I was like, yeah, sure. And I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, because there's a lot of straight up horror and slasher and stuff like that on that channel. But luckily it seemed to have found a good home there.
Yeah, well, it's definitely like, you know, you could even say it's like a psychological thriller.
Yeah, it's more of a character study, kind of, in a way too, like a character study, psychological. I mean, it's pretty much a one-man show. That's what they kind of that's what a lot of people have billed it as. You know, it's just day or a day or a night or whatever in the life of of a guy going insane, or is he?
Yeah, that is the question. But so I know that you're working on the Killer Babes movie right now. Is there anything that you can say about that film?
Yeah, man, that's one of those movies that you're going to get a kick out of. I mean, you just hear that title, right? You're like, Killer Babes and the Frightening Film Fiasco. That's the raddest title ever.
Yeah, kind of a tongue twister at the end there.
Yeah, I say that, man. It's like, once I heard the title, I've been wanting to work with Brett for a while. Brett's a great director. He, all of his stuff that he does, he's like I always say it's like his inspirations are there right in his work. You could tell he's got the giallo there. He's got, Fulci. He's got a little Romero. Very heavily influenced by the Italian films. I was like, man, I got to work with this guy. And then we just kind of caught up on social media, and he was like, yeah, I'd like to work with you too. And the time came for this project, and he sent me a script, and he said, hey, I'd like you to read for these characters. And I said, yeah, sure. And I ended up getting booked for the role of, my character's name is Vincent, who's he's kind of a dick. He's like, a little full of himself, I guess. And it's cool, man. I just read it like Night of the Demons. Remember Night of the Demons?
Oh yeah.
It's got a little bit of that in there. Big, really cool house, big mansion. Linnea Quigley is obviously in there, so that's a nice little throwback that adds to the whole. Its horror cred is definitely there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Just looking at the casting, it's stacked, man.
Yeah, when I got cast, it was I think it was Lisa and was it Linnea? Obviously, I think was made to be the first name announced, and then Lisa, and I think Debbie Rochon was on at the time as well when I got cast. And then since then, it's been like Emma Bellamy and Tiffany Shepis, and they're just Tristan. They're just pulling these great talents in, man, and it's just going to be such a kick-ass flick. I can't wait for everyone to see it, man. It's gonna be really good.
Yeah, I personally can't wait to check it out, man. It's definitely got my attention, and can't wait to see the final product, man.
Yeah, it's in. Obviously, we're taking a break off now for the holidays and stuff like that, but we're picking back up. Like I said, I got to fly out in April to finish that up, and then I think somewhere in that time it'll wrap up, and then I'm assuming sometime in early 2021 it'll probably be available. Who knows? Maybe even at the end of 2020. I don't know. Might be enough time, depending on how long post-production is. It's you never know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, either way, you have to keep me posted if
Oh yeah. In the meantime, people could check out either my page, Brett Mullins' Instagram, and then there's also obviously there's an Instagram and a Facebook page for it. The Frightening Film Fiasco is the Instagram page, and
for sure.
Post behind the scenes exclusive. They just did an exclusive actually with Dread Central for their website where they posted exclusive behind the scenes stuff, and there's going to be exclusive interviews and all that good stuff as it gets closer and closer to the big release. So people can check that out for sure.
So can you at least tell us, are you actually working with Linnea in scenes or any of the other?
Yeah, I got a scene with Linnea. I got a couple scenes with Linnea.
Awesome, man. Well,
yeah.
How was it like working with Linnea or some of the other?
It's great. But you show up and you're just it's another day at work. It's not like a fan really thing. It's just like, man, this is really cool, and you don't even think about it while you're doing it. It's not until later on you reflect back a little bit and you're like, man, how cool is that? Because they paved the way to do what we're able to do, and those are the movies we grew up watching. Like the Night of the Demons, Return of the Living Dead, all that stuff. To be able to be part of that in any way at all is freaking awesome. That's why we do it, why we got involved in it.
Oh, for sure, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's a local film in my area that that got made, and it took like 7 years for them to make it.
Yeah.
And it's called Spring Fever, and it's actually one of the last movies that Robert Zarr stars in.
Oh wow, Maniac Cop, yeah.
Yeah, so it's archival footage, when he was able to still act and whatnot. But I was fortunate enough to be a zombie extra in it. So
Nice.
so
Nothing wrong
I guess it's kind of cool to say that, yeah, I'm in a movie with Robert Zarr.
Yeah, yeah, hell yeah. That's how I got started out too, man. My first thing I did, I was a zombie in the Rockabilly Zombie Weekend movie.
Mhm.
That was the first thing I did. They were shooting in Florida, and it was like, yeah, you want to come out for Rockabilly Zombie Weekend? And I thought it was a convention. You know what I mean? Like the way it was marketed. Saw the flyer. It was like, okay, there's gonna be some rockabilly music or something, and we'll check it out. And turned out it was like, no, they're shooting a movie. And it was like, oh shit, all right. I'm a big zombie guy, Romero fan, so I'll check it out. And they ended up making me a rockabilly zombie. They featured me regular as like a rockabilly because I had the look, I had the jacket and shit. And then I stayed on I was on that for a couple weeks, and I just had the time of my life, dude. You're at that time when you're starting out, there's nothing better than being on, no matter what you're doing, an extra, grip, PA, whatever you're doing. I was just excited to be there. And the zombie makeup too. I was like, yeah, it's like being a kid.
Yeah.
Being a
But
kid.
I watched that couple weeks ago, and it's actually a pretty well made movie. I was surprised with because it's not like a big production movie, but with what you guys had and what you guys put into that movie, I was impressed.
Yeah, they had a pretty good run with that. I mean, if I had caught on a couple years later, maybe I would have had the opportunity to read for like a role or have a bigger part. But it was the first thing I did, and but they had a really good run, man. They've been on the El Rey network a couple times. I've seen them. They pop up on there, like Robert Rodriguez's network there.
Yeah.
They got a DVD. They've Blu-ray, all that good stuff. So yeah, they had a really good run with that, and it's fun. It's just a fun flick, man. I haven't seen it probably since the premiere, but I remember having a good time. I have good memories, just to say. I have fond memories of being on set with that, and the people I've met on that set have gone on to do special makeup effects for other stuff too. I have a friend, Amber, who worked on that film, who we met in Florida, and we've been friends since then. She's done makeup effects for a bunch of stuff too. So it's cool. It's a cool little kind of world, man. The people you meet in this little circle of what we do.
Yeah. It's sort of a small world in a way too.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's not an audition or a project that I'm on, or like, especially a project. We just shot a music video not long ago where I play a vampire, and the girl who was doing the effects on me just got done working on the she's done the zombie effects for Zombieland and Zombieland Double Tap and a bunch of other stuff. So it's kind of crazy. I knew I was in good hands. She's giving me the name, face makeup and stuff like that. Yeah, really cool.
For sure. Let's see. We're doing pretty good on time. We're just about 34 minutes, so might wrap it up pretty quick. Is there? I would love to have you on the show again, and maybe even when Killer Babes releases or something, if you want to help promote that, or you have any other film projects in the works, or is that one pretty much taking most of your time?
No, actually, now that's going to be off for a few months, I finish up on this other film that's in post now. I have to actually go back and do some post ADR stuff for a movie called The Fury, which is going to be is a real kick-ass, old school, almost not. I don't want to say canon films, but it's just an old school, violent, action-packed crime thriller.
Oh, for sure.
Which is gonna, yeah. I think they put up a trailer. I'll have to shoot you over the trailer. if you want to take a look at that. I mean, I know it's not a horror film, but it's definitely probably something you get into.
Oh yeah, I love all kinds of movies, man. Action.
Yeah, it's action all the way. Doesn't quit. Dude, I play a character called the Ghost Killer. He's not a nice fella.
Doesn't sound good.
Not a nice guy by any means. Yeah, had a really good time doing that. Just last night, just did a show called Deadly Cults. Back on that again tomorrow, and I think we break for Christmas, and then I have 2 more days on that too, which is a new series for a new TV series that they did. I saw some of the first season. I haven't seen much else, but yeah. And then we just wrapped.
Netflix or
what is it?
The Deadly
Cults. Yeah, the Deadly Cults, and then I finished back up on Your Worst Nightmare. I got a day on that with which is gonna be really cool. Shit. That's it, man. It's like this close to the end of the year. I'm usually taking time off, but I get the next couple of months, booked up with these, stuff coming up. So it's really cool to be able to do that.
For sure, man.
All that stuff should be out early next year. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, you'll have to keep me posted, and I'm sure you'll keep everybody posted on your social media. And
yeah, oh yeah, man. I try to get on there at least a couple days a week. I try as best I can. A lot of times I'll most of the stuff I put up is from when I'm on location. I try to get a lot of stuff, or sometimes people will get stuff on set and they'll send it to me. Like the pictures I put up recently were taken by one of the PAs, and she sent them over to me. I was like, oh, these are really cool. And she got a lot of behind the scenes stuff, what we're working on. So I was like, oh, perfect. That works. But yeah, Killer Babes for sure. When we get back on that, I'd like to be able to do something, maybe even from location. That'd be really cool.
Well, hey, I just want to say I really appreciate you taking time to join us on the podcast, and
oh yeah, no problem, man. Anytime.
Yeah, and hope you and your family have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh yeah, you too, man.
Yes, thank you. And when I do the episode, have it up, I'll put all the links below, like where to follow you at, and some of the movies you're working on have Instagram pages, so I'll even put those on there too.
Yeah, I'll send them over to you if you need them. I'll send you over a couple links. I think there's the one, obviously mine. You might even have mine. Yeah, you have mine.
Yeah.
And then the Killer Babes one, and then I'll send you over a couple links if you want to add in there. I'll try to send over the link to Box as well. It's weird sometimes. Like I just did an interview for Dread Central, and they put up the link to Box on their site, and people were complaining because when they followed the link, it didn't, like the domain or whatever wasn't opening for them when they followed the link. They actually had to go to the website because it's a monetized site. Obviously, every time it gets so many views, I get a check in the mail for it. So
oh wow,
that might be why. I just tell people, yeah, just go to the website, go to the YouTube channel, Kings of Horror, the Kings of Horror network channel, and find it on there. It's a lot easier.
Well, awesome, man. Yeah, again, thanks for coming on and talking about some of your films and the projects you're working on, and we'd love to have you back on sometime, and maybe talk about some of the future projects that you got going on.
Yeah, man, 2020 and 2021 are looking to shape up pretty good too, man. So there should be no shortage of cool stuff coming at you.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, anytime.
You have been listening to the Rude Horror Podcast. If you like this content and would like to hear future episodes, please follow or subscribe if you dare.